Good morning, Miss. My name is Jeffrey. I am from Class C.
And good morning, Miss. I am William Nicholas, also from Class C. And now we would like to present our UTS project. Please watch.
Hey, Will, could you please tell us at least four skills that are important for the success of your study? And could you explain why?
So, as someone from visual communication design, I believe that an incredibly important skill to have is the ability to communicate yourself, i.e., communication skills, because this course hinges on your ability to convey certain messages, topics, themes, or whatever vision you have by use of your visual media skills. And as such, it requires sufficient enough technical skills as well. And whatever maybe illustration skills or design skills or typography skills, whatever, so that you can convey your vision and bring them out to life properly. It also requires good adaptability skills, which is having the confidence to take someone else's inputs, like critiques, and implementing them into your work so that you may be the best you can. It also requires great time management skills because visual communication design has lots of projects, so you have to divide your time evenly and properly so that you can properly work on each of them and bring out the best quality in them.
Hey, Will, I got a quick question. What does it mean to be good with money? And could you explain why?
So, firstly, I believe that someone being good with money means that they're incredibly aware of their financial situation, such as their income, their expenses, and they are able to use that information to navigate their financial situation wisely and effectively. Being good with money also creates budgets, like monetary budgets, and then they stick to it in order to avoid unnecessary expenses. And this requires the ability to not be swayed by emotional or impulsive purchases. They need to be able to distinguish between their needs and their wants. And after that, someone who is good with money would also save their money regularly by way of maybe they save it in a bank or they use discounts and use that money in order to save up for maybe emergency funds or other investment plans or even like whatever medical conditions they may have in order to create even greater financial security. Hey Jeffrey, could you tell us about your school years starting from kindergarten until the present time?
Well, for starters, in kindergarten, my memory is a bit vague, but the most I can remember is I have some fun time doing clay project that was hosted by my teachers. And then next, it was in elementary. There's not much I can say, but I remember how much that I had fun with the school club activities. And around this time, my personality has rather changed its sudden mood. Then later in middle school, this is the most fun I have in all of I can combine because the materials are fun and it was interesting. Even the hard ones are enjoyable to say the least. The next part is high school. It's a bit rather hard to me to explain because the first part and the second part of the school are shut down because of the pandemic. And lastly, on the university, it's still a bit new to me, but I have fun time right now and there's that.
Hey Jeffrey, could you describe the trends for food and eating habits, holidays and travels, as well as transportation?
Well, in recent years, there has been a notable shift in food and eating habits toward a more sustainable and eco-conscious practice, largely driven by a heightened awareness of environmental issues. Millennials are at the forefront of this movement because of how they use social media as a means for sharing this concept. Similarly, in the realm of holidays and travels, there has been a growing preference for sustainable travel practices, such as transport supporting local communities and minimizing environmental impact, as travelers are increasing as they seek unique experiences. Moreover, in transportation, there is a clear trend toward adopting sustainable and eco-friendly options like electric and hybrid cars, alongside a growing interest in public transportation and carpooling to reduce the individual carbon footprints. Efforts to explore alternate fuels and enhance transportation efficiency are also further developed for a more sustainable future.
So, in the foreground of this picture, we can see that there is a large wooden table, and on top of this offset table, there are several electronic appliances as well as office tools. And gathered around the table are several people. And in the background of this picture, there consists of a large monotone colored wall with some windows and a text reading Matchroom 6. So using the environmental context clues, we can concur that the scene above is a formal yet not too uptight meeting, as evidenced by the casual attire worn by the people in the photo, as well as their smiles, indicating a light mood. In this photo, we can observe a standing bald man, presumably the leader of this group, standing behind the table, reaching out his hand in order to take suggestions, which is taken up upon by the black woman in a white blouse. The other members, such as the man with glasses as well as the blonde woman, have their attention focused on the black woman in the blouse, whereas the girl in striped clothing still has her attention on the standing bald man.
The composition of this image draws the viewer attention to the dynamics and unity amongst the hospital staff. The confident stance of the bald doctor, coupled with the reassuring presence of a stethoscope, speaks volumes about his role as the leader and a caregiver. Meanwhile, the subtle differences in the attire of the other team member hints at their individual roles and responsibilities within the healthcare ecosystem, showcasing the diversity of skills and expertise required to maintain a functional hospital environment. The choice of colors for the two groups add depth to the narrative. The calming greenish blue tones invoke the sense of serenity and professionalism, while the blue hues exude a warm and approachable, perhaps reflecting the compassionate and empathetic nature of the caregiver. Amidst of the clinical setting of the White Hospital hallway, the image invites viewer to ponder the complexities of healthcare and the human connection in the pursuit in healing. Hey Will, how helpful might a friend's advice be in a situation where a problem in a relationship happens? In my opinion, it's a definite yes, because a friend tends to know you more than any other person because they've been with us through the journey within those set relationship.
Uh, I agree with that statement, although I'll add that you should never blindly follow their advice, because no matter how you may explain yourself, they will never know the full story and context, and so their judgment will never be 100% true.
Oh, that's right. They may show biased opinion as well if the arguments, for example.
Yeah, I'm glad you understand it. Anyways, now how helpful might you think a friend's advice be in worrying about the way you look? Because I think that it's going to be pretty helpful. They know us, they've seen us, so especially now that we're in college, we can show off our own fashion styles, right? So I believe that friends' advice can be very relevant and useful.
True, but remember that is still their opinion on what looks best. Everyone has their own taste of what they believe to determine beautiness. So keep true to yourself.
All right, so we should always remember that we all have our own unique tastes that serve as our identity, huh?
Well, then what about when not having enough time to study? Because I still think it's still useful since I have a friend who properly breaks down the issue and gives me a reality check on what needs to be improved regarding of my time management or studying methods. He also support me by studying together.
That's good. But I think there's also another type of friend who instead encourages procrastination or convinces you to not study by like asking you to play games together. So I think a friend's advice can is basically a gamble on how helpful it can be, since it highly depends on who you ask.
But in the end, it's all about your own choices to follow or not.
Yeah, it's true. But now, how about a friend's advice in finding a job? Because I think that friends can be very useful in that regard. Because in the context of networking, they can introduce us to new employers and give us new job opportunities. Friends can even help out with the more practical things like doing mock interviews or resume reviews.
Oh, that's true. But not only the type of friends that you have, for example, a different kind of fields from you. They may try to help at first, but considering how specific your type of fields are, in the end, it might not even be relevant.
Even I believe that those types of advices can be useful because they lend us new perspectives on job hunting.
Hmm. I believe you're right there about that. Lastly, how about when moving to a new home? In my opinion, friends can help you with a bunch of stuff, such as what type of house is recommended from the knowledge. Even physical assistance can also be provided with how things are going, for example, during moving of furniture.
Mm. But why would you ask your friends when you could ask your parents or other adults? Because as someone who is currently in a new house for college, the advice and help I got from them have been far more useful than what I got from my friends.
You may be right, but I still believe in his logic because since they know more about the best strategic location compared to parents who never been there before.
Yeah, I guess I can agree with that.
Hey, Will, I'm rather curious about something. What do you usually do to save money?
Well, Jeffrey, I try to be mindful of my spending habits, so I like to make a day-to-day budget and stick to it as much as possible. How about you?
Yeah, budgeting is the key for me too, but in my case, I don't usually do it day to day. I make mine monthly instead
Mhm.
since I always get mine restored when I'm running low from daily necessities.
Oh, I can't really do that because I receive my allowance weekly, so I have to be smart about using it every day. That's why I just buy cheap food from the shop houses near me instead of cooking anything as well.
But wouldn't be much cheaper to cook your food since you don't have to pay for the labor fees?
Oh well, thing is, I've actually calculated it, and the cost of me making my own food as opposed to buying it is actually incredibly similar. So the difference is that buying food saves me a lot of time, and I don't need to worry about like expiration dates.
Oh, well, that's rather quite convenient. But also on the topic of saving money, where do you usually store yours? I usually store mine in the bank.
Oh, I don't like really put my money in anything. I just let my money sit somewhere until I need to pay for something. So they start putting my money in the bank then.
Yeah, honestly. I believe that storing your money in the bank would be much more advantageous since you can gain passive income called interest. Plus, it's no longer that hard to withdraw money since mobile bank application now exists.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. I'll start putting my money in the bank then. Anyways, do you have any specific goal in mind when you save your money?
Yeah, actually. Other than for emergency funds, I like to save my money in order to spend it on my hobby, such as figure collection. It's a rather expensive hobby to have, but I'm fine with it having higher expenses. It's for my own happiness as well.
Oh, that's cool. Personally, I find alternative ways to entertain myself that don't require spending money. Whether it's playing free games or watching YouTube, I think there are plenty of options out there.
Well, that's quite interesting, honestly. But unfortunately, I don't usually like those kind of activities. So I tend to break the bank quite often. But it's fine as long as I have self control and am aware of how much I spend monthly. And the shop that I usually use to buy those figures actually have a great deals on their product during holidays.
Oh, that's neat. Speaking of prices, another method I like to employ to save money is by comparing different prices for similar products in different stores and then buying the best bang for my buck. Because I believe that over time, it adds up.
Oh, that's actually a smart move to have. I'll try to do the same method then since I know other stores as well that sell the same product, but I never really bother to check the prices. But well, thanks for sharing your insight. It was a rather great conversation.
Yeah, of course. It's always great to exchange ideas with you.